than just what I gave you, but we should talk about that because it's worth discussing. It makes this implausible. That's my answer.
Can you guys see the screen?
Are we ready? If I sit here, am I in the way?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not going to do that.
It's almost like we need to put a few. If I sit here, I don't think so at all. I am.
No, you're not. You're fine.
Can you guys see it down there? It's kind of bright outside. It's hard to.
Yeah.
Cool.
So far, I can read. Starting video from Anthony.
Okay, now.
It's your phone.
He also told me to look into Tom Woods. So.
Okay.
Oh wow! Because I had these questions. Yeah. You're getting crap. Joey.
Good job.
And look, these two guys came back to team up on me again.
I told them I knew about Tom Woods.
I knew you guys were. See, this is the thing. They come in twos, act like I've never met this guy. Let's destroy Russell. I've seen your movie.
Okay.
And what's your name?
My name is Tony Olson. I'm the free pancakes guy. Who's here's had the free pancakes in the morning? Thank you. During my lifetime, my father worked for IBM. Who knows what IBM stands for?
International Business Machines?
Close. It means I've been moved.
Oh!
I
was mean-spirited of you.
that is I was born in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, moved to New Jersey, Germany, North Carolina, Colorado, Rochester, New York, back to Germany, went to Provo, Utah, went on a mission to East Germany, which is what I'm going to talk about today a little bit, and then back to Federal Washington, and now I live in Iowa. So I'm all over the place. But the move that had the greatest effect on me was my religious mission, 2-year mission. I'm a member of Jesus Christ ever since. We go on 2-year missions, a lot of us do. And I went to East Germany. I lived in West Germany for a total of 4.5 years during our moves beforehand. And the people in East Germany they're like the same family. They're brothers and sisters that were just divided when after World War II, when Russia took one half and UK, USA, and France took the other half and divided Germany down the middle. The wall had come down just a few years before that. But in East Germany, they have a car called the Trabant. Have you guys ever heard of the German car called the Trabant? It is made out of cardboard. Now the frame is steel, but the actual hull is made out of compressed cardboard. One of the jokes in Germany, as you hear, is that Trabant hits. The shortest joke is that Trabant hits old lady is fine, Trabant is total. People would actually use like stockings and so forth just to jury rig it to get to work. But in East Germany, that car costs as much, when the wall was up, that car would cost as much as a Mercedes. And you have a 10-year waiting list to get your car. This is a car that the East German government made. It was the only car you could choose. It was monopoly. But I didn't understand this when I first went to East Germany. This is another picture I like. This is. I can't see it very well from this angle. Can you guys see it down there? Okay.
It's hard to see, but
this is the wall going through Berlin. And Berlin's interesting to see because Berlin is one city, as opposed to one city and another city with like miles between it, with the wall going down between it. But in Berlin, they had this is actually the Berlin Wall when it was still up. And this is actually shortly after the wall was coming down, and they're actually going through and removing the mines and stuff. So, but you can still see. You see the difference between the houses on the left side and the houses on the right side? it's maybe hard to tell in this picture.
I see street lights on this side.
Yep.
It's more colorful.
And there's streetlights here because this was the border zone. But when we went to East Germany, the first thing that struck us is that all the buildings were painted just on one side, the side that faced West Germany. So when you went from West Germany looking into East Germany, thought they saw painted buildings. And they basically hid all the desolation and poverty that existed there. I went on a mission there in long time ago. From age 18 to age 20. And let's see, I was 4. 1984 to 1986. No, sorry. 1992. 1992.
Yeah, you went before the Berlin Wall came down.
1992 to 1994. I math can't do and English speaking can do well. So, this is a picture of me with the math there, and these are some of the people this is one of the wards we attended there, and this is one of the views outside of my apartment building there. I did not understand at the time why there was such a big difference between the people in East Germany and people in West Germany. The people in West Germany are much more mellow than the people here in America. And I already thought that was kind of weird. I mean, here in America we're like, hey, how you doing? People in Germany are like, they're very serious. They're very serious about everything. But in East Germany, it was a different thing, because in East Germany, the best way I can describe it, I'm not joking about it, when people would walk down the street, it's like a combination between a zombie and a normal person. You know, like a zombie does this. You know, they're like this. They don't quite make eye contact with you. And occasionally, we would meet someone who actually made eye contact with you. We're like, wow, it's amazing. And I didn't understand until years later why these people, the same genetics as West Germany. So it's not a genetic issue. There's nothing wrong with these people. Why would they be so spiritually destroyed? What do you guys think? What do you think was the cause of that?
Maybe the difference in government?
Exactly.
So
I didn't know that.
So many bad things that could happen to them if they made eye contact.
In East Germany, you got punished if you were rich. Basically, they took the money away from you, and you were taken care of if you're poor. We would meet people who didn't have a job, and they had companies offering to give them a job, and they say, I don't know if I'd take that job or not, because what's the incentive? It doesn't matter what you do, you're going to get paid the same. Everyone gets paid the same. Everyone's equally poor across the spectrum. It is a destruction of. It destroys your ingenuity, your spark of life. It's you know, if you can imagine people, you know, in East Germany, in Europe, you would oftentimes see people who were like ladies sitting at the window, or the people sweeping the front porch and stuff like that. What the difference is in East Germany, whenever I was there, is that people would be that and be right in front of you, and then you couldn't make eye contact. Like they weren't really there. They've been staring for the last 5 hours until it's time to go by. And I also occasionally meet people that just said, I'm just waiting to die. You know, I'm already 40 years old. There's no point in life anymore. I'm just waiting to die, just patiently waiting. There's no sense of life. And I didn't understand this until years after I came off my mission. I mean, I was like, what is this? I didn't get it. There was a this is some famous pictures of the east-west border. Oh, sorry. But basically, it wasn't until years after that I discovered that it was the economic freedom. That basically East Germany had no economic freedom, and you would see buildings with bullet holes in them. That had bullet holes in them from World War II. They didn't finish. They didn't repair them. Some of the windows, they would just brick up the windows because they didn't have glass. It was still just like World War II had finished just the year beforehand, and nothing had changed. And before I went on my mission, I actually didn't vote. That was the Clinton election, and I didn't vote because I ignorantly thought, how could anything that happens in Washington affect me personally? I actually said that and actually thought that. And then it wasn't even until after it mentioned that it slowly started sinking in after witnessing this that economics matters. And it wasn't until like 10 years after that that I actually became libertarian, and that's my belief. That's my status today. About 5 years ago, any thoughts or any input on it? I mean, it's like preaching to the choir. You guys know this, but have any of you guys been to the Eastern Bloc before? You have anything you want to say about it, or?
I just had the good fortune to visit Mitte in Berlin about 5 years ago and see the museums and visit Sachsenhausen and all kinds of places. So I love Germany.
𝙤𝙘𝙤𝙤𝙦 was actually I served in like 2 different locations in Berlin itself. Other times were way up north. This is the second part of the presentation. About 5 years ago, we a group of people online came together and says, why can't we find freedom? This is shortly after Ron Paul of the Republican convention in Florida basically threw away all of Ron Paul's delegates in Maine. He had 5 states which would have granted him a chance to actually speak on the floor, but the Republicans wanted to have a perception of unification, that everyone was unified behind one candidate. So they basically just got rid of all their candidates. They basically screwed them over. The Democrats did something similar with many other candidates as well. And at that point forward, I stopped helping the Republican Party. I was one of the people that actually helped give Iowa to Ron Paul that year, and we were like, oh wow, you know, he was the only politician I've ever been excited about. But after that, we're kind of like just discouraged. What's the hope? How can we have the God-given freedoms that God intended for us? People keep trying to vote for them, but year after year, laws just keep getting more. I mean, you have this small place like, wow, we have a victory here. We have our freedoms in this one small area. And yet, in that same year, you've lost tons of freedoms everywhere else. So we established Freedom Haven, a project 5 years ago, and the goal is to bring freedom, create a floating port city outside the jurisdiction of all government jurisdictions. But before we start, I wanted to clarify what we mean when we say freedom. Because some people say freedom is soaring through the clouds. Some people say if you have a lot of money, you have financial freedom, you can buy whatever you want. Or you have clarity of mind, that's freedom. And all those are valid examples of freedom. But we're talking specifically about socioeconomic freedom. And specifically, to better understand that, we need to understand what the opposite of freedom is. The opposite of freedom is force and compulsion. Specifically, someone threatening your life, your freedom, or your property. And there's clarification about what you mean for that. For example, if you go up and start beating up somebody, what is that? You haven't killed them, but you're destroying their property, which is their body. And freedom is the opposite of that. So freedom is the life you naturally have in the absence of anyone trying to take your life, trying to kidnap you, and trying to steal from you. And the theft part, I grew up in this socialist country and didn't understand how property was important. But if you can never build or prosper or produce anything, that itself is also a loss of freedom as well. Not to mention the fact that your body is your core property. All other property you have is essentially an extension of your body.
Now, you don't know this, Tony, but we just had an hour-long discussion about that very issue.
Oh, that's awesome.
The question being, who owns you?
The philosophy of liberty is based on self-ownership. In addition to the fact that God owns